Welcome, everyone. Victor Grant here with Search Figures, and tonight's Hangout is about celebrities and rock stars and music industry and SEO. What do all these have to do in common? Well, the answer to that, my friends, is Bob Heyman. Bob, camera's on you.
Oh my God, I was waiting for the answer. I didn't.
Yeah, well, so Bob is your background is you're an entertainment lawyer. You're the father of SEO. You coined the term search engine optimization with Jefferson Starship. We all know the story, but some people don't. Um, and I think what we're going to talk about tonight, I'm going to just pre-frame this hangout. This hangout is about distinguishing the problem with search engines today. It's sort of like search engines rule the world. Uh, Literally ruling the world right now. And there's two camps. Okay, there's Camp A, which is Google, 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 and Google, and then there's Camp B, which is Microsoft, Yahoo, which includes Bing, it includes Facebook, it includes Twitter, it includes Forbes, it includes entertainment, you name it, the whole rest of the world. So there's this world over here, and then there's Google over here. Uh, and you know, now is there room for a third player? Well, we'll find out next year. We're up to something here. So on that note, I just wanted to have you just distinguish, what do you see as the biggest problem that people are finding in being able to rank in search engines, Bob?
Figuring out what Google rewards, and as Google kind of diverges from Bing, having to go back to kind of doing two different things rather than one thing. Uh, but figuring out the current Google tips and tricks, I think, is the biggest challenge, because most of the old black hat things don't work. And the virtue of the search triggers tool is that it gives you uh, the insight on what Google thinks is relevant and and what's trending. Uh, and it's about the only edge you can get these days because the algorithms have gotten very smart and are not easy to game.
Right, so I think it comes down to providing great content. That's really what has been our focus, is to help steer people toward what is great content, what is popular, what are the words that people are searching for, and how does that impact their business. And it starts with looking at a side-by-side comparison of Google and Bing and what they consider relevant. And then the analytics that we run behind that, it's just an algorithm I invented a couple of years ago, where by hand, what we used to do is we would say, okay, here's all of our keywords, and now let's go see how good is this keyword. Oh, let's give that one a rating of 5. Let's do this one and give it another rating, and then we'll do another keyword and we'll do another rating. And you just put all these in a spreadsheet. You sit down after chunking through hours of spreadsheets and coming back with a result, then you give that to the client, say, here it is, this is what you should call your business. No one's looking for decision software, they're all looking for business intelligence. CRM, the acronym CRM, is more popular than customer relationship management. Not really. Actually, customer relationship management is more popular. But the thing is, it changes. These trends change from day to day. And I think that realistically, Yahoo Bing has the edge right now because they're in alignment with Twitter and Facebook, and they're sharing data. And I think that's really powerful because Twitter invented the hashtag, if you will. And now Facebook is also hashtagging, and hashtags are showing up in search results. And so having access to this hashtag data, I think is really going to cause Bing and Yahoo to prevail in 2015. I know it's not a popular notion, but I think that's one of the reasons why Google is moving back to YouTube, its core competency, um, because they're losing traction. And that's not a popular notion. Everyone thinks Google is gaining traction, but the reality is that Facebook is gaining traction. Google Plus is on the wax. Is it the wane? It's the
It's
wane
wane.
when it's on the
Well,
decline.
you have to have waxed to wane. So I'm not sure it ever waxed to begin with.
Yeah, Google Plus is one of those things that I just find this to be very funny. That I was at an event a few months ago, and I have a private link that I use for my Google Plus channel, and I had a friend of mine. He was on his phone, grabbed his phone. I said, "Here, put this link in your phone and just add me to Google Plus." And so he added me to Google Plus, and they said, "Well, you need to sign this contract. We need to send you an SMS message, and then you have to confirm your email." And then all that stuff went to his junk mail folder. And so it's like the left hand doesn't know what the right hand is doing. Uh, they made it so difficult for people to register for Google Plus that no one could even get into the thing. We find that to be the biggest challenge right now. So if you're watching this, and we'd love to have you participate with us, share your questions below the video in here, and we'll address them. I wanted to. I don't know if you saw my blog post. It was actually you know the fellows that did Blair Witch Project. There's
Sure.
this firm out of New York. You've heard of the Blair Witch Project, right?
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, one of the great grassroots marketing projects ever.
Yeah. So one of the distinctions that they were talking about was these three classes of people that um, was going to bring up the PowerPoint here real quick and go through that because I did this last week, but my sound was off, and so people were chatting with me, and it didn't make it in the recording. So I was just going to set that as the tone for the context of the conversation today. And our view count is going up, which is fantastic. Um, let me go ahead and share my screen here. Tell me if you can see my screen. You see that? Bob, you seeing my screen?
Yeah. Assuming that it's a 2001: A Space Odyssey visual, yeah.
Yes. Well, that's the symbol for our next year's next gen search engine,
Okay.
which is coming, and Search Triggers is the predecessor to that. Um, so let me go in here and bring up this blog post, which I found very entertaining and amusing. Make up a new window. Okay. Well, let's maximize this. So here we have search triggers, and I'm not logged in or anything. This is the complete the interface for the search. And what I started, I was listening to them talking about these. They call them divers, dippers, skimmers. I just type in all three of those into search triggers, and let's see. It didn't suggest anything. Well, that's not good. Let's try divers. Okay, diversity, diversity. Okay, so we do need to log in. So let me go ahead and log in here. I'm just going to go right to the blog post and talk about the topic here. Okay, so let's go to the blog. And this was right here, divers, dippers, and skimmers. Okay. You still seeing that right there?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I'm going to bring up this PowerPoint here. This is okay. Audience types. This is Michael Manello. This is his PowerPoint, and let's see. I'll go ahead and allow that. Okay, so I think this is what the challenge we're facing here with search engines is, and this is really the key, and this is what we're talking about here right now. Okay, so and it's context specific. Like I'm a diver and I'm very engaged and involved with search engines, with email. If you're on my VIP list, you typically, you have me in Skype and you'll get an answer with me from within a few seconds. So higher engagement are people that are really, really, involved. Skimmers are these people. They sort of like they have uh, multiple Gmail accounts. They don't know when they're logged in. They sort of have, they're sort of all over the place. They're sort of skimming through lots of content, and they're not really engaged with the sort of community experience. And what you see happening in marketing today is everyone is targeting this larger segment of the population right here. Okay. Now, one of the things that Mike said that's very interesting. He says if you only focus on the skimmers, right? You actually need dippers to bring in the skimmers. In fact, if you target the divers will bring in the dippers, and the dippers will bring in the skimmers.
I love it.
Okay, okay. So now this is the spread. Okay, the biggest population is the dippers and the skimmers. They're like 80 towards. It's actually It's not really a pyramid. It's more like it's like a bell curve. There's I think latest stats are like 1 to 2% of the audience is diver. When it comes to social media and engagement, the dippers are really into social media, and the skimmers are sort of like they barely can check their email, and it's sort of like you send them. You have to send them 50 emails before they'll notice that they have a folder of all 50 of them. You know that you've been sending them for the last 2 years. And unfortunately, this problem is getting worse. And so what's happening is the more and more people are in the skimmer category. Um, so once again, this is the last slide was lower engagement and higher engagement. Divers are more engaged with your content and your exposure, and skimmers are less engaged. So this is really the key right here. Investment. Divers will invest a lot of money with you, um, and they will engage more with you, and they're the 1 to 2%. We used to call them early adopters, but I think they're really more like divers. Now the thing is that divers' language is different, and that's what I'm going to talk to you about here, because I think this is crucial for the projects that we're talking about right now. Accessibility, there's tons and tons of skimmers out there. Divers are really hard to reach. They're smart. They have several email addresses that they keep to themselves, and then they have public ones that they give to everybody, and that's kind of like how it works. So let me show you the difference in here. As a diver myself, I respond to something like this more than I will respond to something like that. Okay? This right here is what a dipper wants. They want to try something out. They want a free trial. They want to they want to dip their toe in the water before they'll commit. Whereas a diver, we just want the plain text. Give me the bottom line. It's like so relieving to us when you send us a quick link like this. Okay. Now skimmers, they like big fancy graphics, lots of testimonials, and the battle is over their attention. Okay. Well, how do you get their attention? Any way you can. And this is why so many marketers are only and exclusively writing to skimmers. Now, the funny thing is it's a big turnoff to divers, and it's kind of a turnoff to dippers as well if you just focus only on these three different markets. And the funny thing is those three different types of personalities don't really like each other, is what we've found. Like, I don't really like skimmers, to be honest. They this is a great example of what skimmers like to see. They want to see lots of social proof. They want to see Facebook posts. Uh, you know, they want to see sign up now for our next event because they already missed the event that you're currently on. You follow what I mean?
Yep.
And now here's the thing that I think is really crucial for marketers. While all the marketers are targeting the skimmer audience, let me just show you. If you go to JV Zoo, perfect example. Everyone's skimming and skimming and skimming. Okay, instant professional looking squeeze pages. Okay, this is like the deal of the day. It's like they have a product launch every single day. All-in-one plugin lets you create high-converting, profit-pulling pages in minutes. Launch discount ends in 5 days, 5 hours. Insta Builder, and it's like all this stuff. This is definitely targeting skimmers. You see that? You seeing? You see what I mean here,
Yeah.
Bob?
Yeah. Totally.
Okay. Only 2 more at $40, 3 more at $61, 4 more at $76.45. Now here's the funny thing: is I'm a smart person, right? I'm an affiliate. I know that I can go back inside of my back office, buy this product at a 50% discount, sell it 3 or 4 times, make back my money, and then blast it out to an email list. So this is the this is the problem with being a diver, right? So here's the point, and this is the thing that I'm trying to get across to marketers and any marketers that are watching here. You're missing all of the divers. What about this link? Skip this and purchase our product. All right, pricing for our packages, or become an affiliate now. Okay? So funnels work for these skimmers, but here's the point that I'm making. Divers will buy your product if you remove the funnel from your marketing. And I want to be coined the term of that. I mean, that's kind of like what I would like to be remembered. So I think that's really like the message of the day. It's kind of a targeted message with SEO. Think of it this way. Contrary to popular belief, when you go to search engines, they all now have human indexers. What's a human indexer? It's a person that's sitting there with a checklist going through an audit report. And the audit report says, okay, here are a bunch of websites that we want you to audit. And they want to look at your website in terms of its content. Guess what we found works best for SEO? You're going to find this to be very shocking, Bob. Press releases. Like here's your press release you sent me.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. When I actually talked to an expert in email marketing yesterday, and he said that there's these things called Bayesian filters in email now.
Right.
And basically, they interpret your language, and if it comes across as salesy or marketing or hypey or anything like that, it will automatically go to junk. Whereas a press release like this, okay, this is what shows up best in search engines. Now, it's also funny. The same is true in YouTube. Okay.
Yep.
When we go to YouTube and we look at some of these, like 2 million view. Okay.
Yep.
Here's 2 million views. Okay. You notice there's very little marketing language. It's almost like just give me the facts, please. Now the question in my mind is, like, when I look at these marketers out there that claim to have big YouTube channels,
Right.
and I look at the text that they have in their videos, What ends up happening is they're using sales language in their videos. They say, here, check out my video. Look at this hashtag. Look at this thing. Look at this thing. And then you compare, you compare with the YouTube videos that have millions of views versus the marketers that have a couple hundred or 100 views. What you find is that we're going back to the press release. And I think that seems to be the thing that is a mega trend that we're seeing across the board right now. We're tired of the hype. We're tired of the marketing. We're done with the funnels. Just give us the facts phrased as a press release, and put that same release in your YouTube videos, put it in your emails, put it in your blog. Don't write your blog from a tone of a blogger. Write your tone from a celebrity press editor, and it will rank higher than if if you have all this colloquial language. And I think that's what we're seeing across the board right now. And I don't know if anyone's talked about this. I don't know if anyone, you probably not. I mean, what do you think about this? I mean, I think we're seeing a return to going back to our roots. Like
Well,
the other day, Bob,
the
I went
original
out to.
source of authority really was press releases, and then all of this kind of media that's been new to the web, blog posts and tweets and whatever. The idea that we might actually be going back to the forward to the past is really interesting, but I mean somewhat understandable. I mean, it used to be a press release was sort of the gold standard of relevance.
Well, I think what we're seeing again is the press release is once again the gold standard of relevance.
So does that make an argument for using a press release service, or what's the best way to get it to distribute it so that the search engines notice them?
Well, I'm glad you asked that question, because I think what we're going to start doing here at Search Triggers is we're going to be working on the hybrid press release. We just added PR Web to our our list of partners at Search Triggers. I'm just going to
Really?
go here and pop into Search Triggers real quick and log in and show you a couple things. Okay, yeah, okay. So as you can see, like we were looking at Motown
Yeah.
was your project.
Uh-huh.
Okay, so if we go to Motown on PR Web, you see that's now a drop down called PR Web, and we can quickly bring up all the press releases inside of PR Web in search triggers and take a look at what other people are writing. And again, you can see the side-by-side comparison of Google and Bing. What Google considers important is Motown the musical. I'm going to zoom in here again. Motown the musical. And what Bing considers important and has a lot more depth. They don't use the word the musical. They use Motown CDs, songs, music, records, Motown, vinyl, classics, and CD, and musical Detroit and DVD.
Yeah.
You can clearly see that the intelligence engine of Bing is far superior to the intelligence engine of Google right now, especially for anything to do with music, media, entertainment, any of those type of things. So, and you can see that they don't agree at all. There isn't any common denominator. They have nothing in common whatsoever. I need to exit Skype here for a minute. Okay. So what we're seeing here is if I go into, let's say, the most popular press releases in, let's say, Motown Classics, would you say, what would you say, Motown Records? That would be Motown Records.
Yeah.
Okay. So if I click on this, you can see very clearly Bing has the much more related interface here. Okay. You can see here's some press releases about Motown. The musical tickets are for sale. Motown Records, Berry Gordy. Popular press releases in, let's say, Motown Classics. Would you say, what would you say, Motown Records? That would be Motown Records.
Yeah.
Okay. So if I click on this, okay, Yasos, you gotta have a headphones. I was hearing myself in your Hangout. Bob, if you can tilt your camera down a little bit, you look like Where's Waldo?
Sorry.
So let's just take a look at a couple of these. Just from the vantage point of how PR Web is organizing itself. And I think they're really on the cutting edge right now. Yasos, you gotta have a headphones. I was hearing myself in your
I did it. I did it. I did.
Yasos, I'm still hearing you through the speakers, so you have to turn your speakers off. Okay. Okay, so Bob, you still seeing my screen?
Yes.
Okay.
I think I'm okay now.
Yeah, great. Okay. So this is, thank you, Yasos, for coming in. So the way we could use search triggers most effectively, I would say, is in this, in crafting this little search phrase that shows up at the top. Like you notice that when we went to here and we clicked on Motown Records in Bing. Okay, you can see that the search result right here,
Sure,
okay, is the keywords phrased in a non-spammy kind of elegant methodology. Okay, so we have Motown the Musical. Okay, Motown the Musical joins top Broadway show list at ticketbroadway.com. This is the proper sequence. Keyword, keyword, okay? Top 10 Broadway show, that's another key phrase that you could develop with search triggers. And then domain name at the tail end, okay? And then right in here is where you put in your keyword Motown Records. And then if you highlight all of these, you can see where it shows up. And so you can see it shows up fairly close to the beginning, which is why it came up as a match.
Right.
Okay. So if we, and you can see it says Motown the Musical right here. So if I was to craft a headline, you could use our little tweet tool, and you go, like we would say Motown the Musical. So we have top 10 Broadway show list. See how do they compose that? So if we just go here and we just do top 10, excuse me, top 10 Broadway. Okay. I guess the Broadway show. We'll just type in the Broadway show. Let's just see how many PR Web articles there are in Broadway shows. Okay, so this is really a good use of search triggers. You would say, look, Broadway shows New York City. There's only 4 competing pages, 4 competing press releases. This is actually how many press releases exist in PR Web on this topic. So you don't want to pick something, when you're writing your press release, you don't want to pick something that's way too competitive, because the probability of you getting any traction at all is very small. But see, look, we could say Broadway theater shows. Okay, so I could go back to my little notepad here and Broadway theater show debut at NYC, New York City, something like that. But now what you're doing is you have all of this content in here that is pre-framing your blog post or your press release. So I think here's the big message here. You can see is that you want to start writing your blog posts in the tone of language of a press release. Now this is actually a fairly colloquial written press release. Going back to your press release, I think the this is a perfectly, it talks about where's the Kitster meets Motown time travel adventure. It has lots of proper nouns. It has lots of credibility. It has your bio in here. It has a link where you can do it. One of the things, Bob, what do you think about this service? One of the things we thought about doing at Search Triggers was helping clients craft their press release and their blog post in the proper way. See, it's almost like you have to do two things. And I think that the proper sequence is to write the press release first. Make the very credible, spend some time on, on crafting the press release in a professional manner with eliminating all of the marketing language from it. And then the difficult part is going to be coming up with, how do you say it in a paragraph with keywords in the headline? Okay. Does that make sense, Bob?
Yeah, I mean, one of the interesting things about search is I tell clients that social media or PR are twofers these days, in that they work for whatever marketing purpose you're using them, and then they're also a twofer because they have impact on your SEO. The trick is that it's a great thing that it's a twofer, but it makes it harder to write because you're writing it for two different purposes in one release. And I think that as a service or the guidance to figure out what part of it is going to work best for search without losing your marketing purpose, because you still are hoping that a newspaper is going to pick up the release and run it in all the traditional ways that that the media might work for you. But to be able to optimize it, truly for search as well, that's how you get the twofer to really pay off. Otherwise, you're getting a double. You're still getting a double result, but maybe neither is as optimized as it could be.
Yasos, what do you think about that?
I don't have enough of a frame of reference yet to really get clear on what's going on.
Okay.
I'm still playing catch up. I got here as fast as I could, and I got here about 20 minutes after you started.
Okay, so let me summarize for everyone what we're discovering here. What we're discovering is that the most popular YouTube videos, okay, the most popular search results, the most popular blog posts use a language tonality of that of the press release. Okay, that's what we're finding. This is just what's so, and what we're also discovering is that the press release firms now, even like PR Web, they now have fields for a title and a description like a search engine listing. Okay? So let me just give you a preview of what's coming your way with EarthGrid, okay? This is really what I'd like you to do, and I'd like everyone to do this as well. Let me just show you what we're focusing on. Okay. And I think this is really the key. Um, I've long said you can't really understand search until you've built your own search engine. And so that's really been our focus right now. When you go to earthgrid.com and you click this thing, it says search engine. Okay? We've actually simplified this tremendously. Okay? What happens is it says list your site. And this is almost like the early days of Yahoo. You would submit your site, but remember how Yahoo used to have all these questions you'd have to answer and blah, 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 and what your category is. Well, we don't do that. We actually still use keywords. But this keyword is actually the key to getting ranked in our search engine. Okay? Because I'll just tell you the secret since you're here live. Okay? We do something that Scott McNeely and Sun Microsystems invented. I met Scott a few years ago at RSA. And he was talking about a lot of the innovation that they were doing with natural language. Basically, natural language, it takes a group of words in a language, like English or French or any of the languages, and it attempts to index meaning. So in other words, real estate agent, realtor, realtors, all of these things are natural language for the real estate industry. And so if you put, whether you put in realtor, realtors, real estate, and you throw in something like Motown records, like normally this would be very, very confusing to a search engine because all the search engines out there, Yahoo, Bing, and all that, they're mostly using or they're all using semantics. So in other words, like if I'll just prove it to you. So if I go to Google, I should probably log out. I'm gonna sign out. Okay. If I go to Google,
Victor is my internet guru.
thank you. Yeah, Google knows that I'm talking ill about them, so they're not letting me come up. It says, please wait. That's really funny.
Oh my God, did that tune into what you're saying?
Of course they're doing that.
That's like the all-seeing eye, you know.
Yeah, they are the all-seeing eye, but I'm actually here to help them. All right, so let's just go here and let's just type in Motown records, okay? When you do this inside of Bing, it shows you, look at this. This is new, okay? Now, because Microsoft owns the Internet Explorer browser, they have news, careers, locations, and reviews, and they show you Barry Gordy, and they actually show you history, artists, founder, crossword, logo, contact, executives, and 2014. So there's a lot of depth that's there. Now, if I go to Google, and I type in Motown Records, you're going to see this type of a view. And you see they're asking for very satisfied, somewhat dissatisfied, and they're asking you, hey, was this a good result? And of course, Wikipedia always shows up first, you know, in Google. What they're really looking for is the exact phrase of Motown Records. Now, if I type in Motown Record without that, then the keyword comes up, Motown Record Label. And you can see that now Google is confused. A little bit. And the so let me explain what's going on here. They're using natural language and inference in the auto-suggest area right over here, but they're not actually using it for their interpretation of the web. It's still very much a string literal. So if I type in real estate agents in Santa Rosa, California, okay, Yelp comes up, Zillow comes up. But if I type in realtors, Santa Rosa, California, it shows up realtor.com. Okay. Well, natural language would say they're basically the same thing. Okay. And that's where the keyword comes in. So what we're doing with our engine is we're looking at the keywords you declare, the descriptive text and the balance of keywords, your title, and what's contained on your website. So we actually look at all of those factors in determining your rank.
Victor, it sounds like you need a keyword synonyms engine.
Well, that's what we're building right now, and it's actually already built into the MySQL index. But the thing is, it only works when there's a small data set. If you have, billions of pages, it doesn't work anymore. Because there's too many records that it becomes noise. You see?
Right.
So that's kind of like one of the things we're doing now is we're looking at this. So when people list their websites in here, you want to think about this as a listing for your press release. So here's what I think people should be doing is put their press release on the blog right here. Okay, so like if I want to go here and I go grab what was Motown like in the 60s, a time travel adventure, I'm not really using any keywords here. But let's say I want to go into I would put this, actually let me put this into here. You paste your URL in here, put in the title of your website. This is where you want to go into grabbing some keywords.
That's interesting. For search triggers, you can put in a keyword and it'll show you synonyms?
Oh yeah, so maybe you didn't understand. What's going on here is that like when you type in Motown Records in search triggers, it tells you the rating on a visual scale, okay?
I see that.
Okay? And then the color pertains to the number of competing pages of that. So the best thing is with low competition with a long bar. Okay? And that would be Motown Music. So you can just sort by page count. There's only 10 press releases about Motown Music, and it has a very long bar. So this is the degree of relevance. Okay? So if I tap on that, what shows up in here are all the same press releases once again. Okay, now if I go back here and I go to, let's say, just on Amazon, which is where you're selling your stuff, again, it's going to be Motown Music, but the distribution of page counts is going to be different. So when you're trying to figure out what phrase to use, so we now know we want to use Motown Music, okay? And now let's sort again by page count. And you can see the longest bar with the, close to the top is this one right here. Again, Motown Music. But there's 7,000 competing pages in Amazon with the keyword Motown Music. Let's go to YouTube. Okay, in YouTube we have much more competition. 295,000. And right here, Motown Records is less competitive, but a good one would be Motown Artists. See that? So artists, records, music, and songs. Okay, these are my keywords. And classics. You see, classics and history. So what I want to do is I'm going to grab all these. Actually, you can do this very simply by, let me show you what you can do with search triggers. This is why we invented it this way. We go to the keyword history. We go to the keyword classics. We go to the keyword hits. Go to the keyword artists. Go to the keyword records. Go to the keyword music and songs. Now what you can do is right over here, all of these keywords. Now this is with the non-free version. Uh, all of these are appearing down here in a box, so I can copy those keywords right up here and go back to my notepad. I'm going to just go here and update this, and I'm going to paste all these keywords in here, and we can get rid of we say Motown Records, history, classics, hits.
You don't need a comma. Space is enough to separate them.
No, commas actually are not good for titles. And notice how I'm doing it in reverse order, because the least competing ones, there's a lot of competition for the heavy ones at the tail end. I want to make sure that we at least get some traffic under Motown Records, history, classics, hits, artists, records, music, and songs. Okay? And then I put in the link. Just going to show you just real quickly what I would do. And I'm going to put in, let's go ahead and share that on Twitter. And see, there's plenty of space still in here. And I can hashtag the word music, hashtag the word songs, hashtag the word history, hashtag the word classics, and hits. And this is my proper noun.
Victor, sorry for being so not up to speed, but how does hashtags work?
Okay, so if you go to Twitter, I'm glad you asked that question. It's a great question. So what you can do is I can go back to my tweets, and I view to my profile, and you'll see I just tweeted this out. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
Motown Records, history, classics. Okay, so let's say I want to go into music. I can click on the hashtag music, and what happens, it shows all of the tweets that use the hashtag music in the last few minutes or seconds.
So it's a search engine within tweets.
Well, not really. What happens is all the other people who use the hashtag music get a notification that the hashtag music just went out there.
Got it.
Okay? So when you hashtag something like music, or you find a trend that's really hot, like if you watch Fallon, Jimmy Fallon, and he puts out a weekly trend, if you actually add that trend to your tweet, then what happens is all of a sudden you get a flood of people that are also tweeting that same tweet at the same time. And so what's happening now is, because Bing is in partnership with Twitter and with Google, they're now integrating that into their into the search ranking algorithm. Does that make sense?
Yeah, so basically with a hashtag, it's two-way communication. You're notifying them, and you get notifications of who else is using it.
Exactly. And there's analytics tools that you can see. I think it was, let's see. I think it was ads in their advertising engine. No, I guess it's ads.twitter.com. We're going into a lot of detail. We're going to be covering yeah, here's the advertising dashboard. And you can go to the analytics inside of here, and you can look at your tweet activity. And then it tells you how many impressions your last few tweets had, their engagement rate. Like, look at this one, 14.3% engagement rate in a few seconds. You see that?
14.3% of what?
Well, it's just a percentage of engagement rate.
What does that mean?
I don't know. You'd have to ask Twitter. But you can see that it really has to do with how many people engaged with it based on the hashtags. Okay?
Yeah. Uh-huh.
I don't have time to go into a full-on Twitter training, but one of the things we
Yeah.
can do is give you some tips. Peter is our Twitter expert, and he's going to be in our mastermind at the end of the month. That we're in the midst of. See, what we decided to do is we can't really go into detail in a Hangout very much, so what we want to do is take a group of people inside of a live conference environment, and we're going to be covering all of this in depth. And I mean, I think everyone, no one really knows what any of this stuff really means. It's sort of like, Bob, let me put the camera on you. Do you know what the Twitter engagement percentage is?
I don't know what a baseline is. I don't.
Yeah, can you tilt your camera down a little bit?
Still okay.
Yeah.
I don't know what a baseline is. I really don't know what their average metric is.
Well, I mean, it's sort of like if you go through all your tweets and you see 1% engagement, 2% engagement, 3% engagement, then all of a sudden you see 14% engagement. That means all of a sudden a bunch of people saw it.
Oh yeah.
Right.
Anything over 1 or 2% is really good.
Yeah. So that one tweet we just used search triggers for, we composed that and we got a 14% engagement rate within a few seconds. Now, over the next couple of days, that tweet could be shared, reshared. And I think the real message here is that you can't really game the search engines. That's not really our purpose with search triggers. Our purpose with search triggers is to give you some data, some insight, so that you know which words to pick when you compose your tweet, when you compose your blog post, and you're really not going to know any definitive answer until you test it. That's why we're having a mastermind, because it's sort of like when you put everyone's results together, you go, oh, I can see that, right? And we're teaching a testing protocol, so you can see, okay, here's what I did, and we had like no results. And then we did this one little change, and now all of a sudden we have massive results. Well, what was the factor? I mean, can we isolate that factor? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So we're at the top of the hour, and what I wanted to, I'm going to go in here and unshare my screen and just come back to camera mode here. Does anyone have any questions? I'm going to go check to see if we have any questions.
Yeah, Victor, you said our search triggers. Is it your company, your website, Search Triggers?
Well, everyone asks me that question, and I'll just answer it the following way. EarthGrid made an investment into creating search triggers.
So you're a partial owner?
Well, I don't like to use the word owner. I would say I'm a steward.
Yeah, but who's the mastermind deciding how search triggers works and what it's going to be and how it's going to change? Who decides that?
Victor.
Well, then it's your baby. Yeah, it's your baby.
Yeah, I don't like to use the word ownership because I believe that what we're going to be doing together with some of the things that Bob and I are cooking up is going to cause massive changes in the industry.
Great.
I mean, there's definitely a time. If you're watching this, you want to pop on over to EarthGrid and you want to list your website in our search engine. so that um, you can get, you know, be at the top of the search engine as it stands right now. Every website that's in our search engine is opted in. So you just put in your website address, your name, your email address. You click the confirmation link, and then you're listed in the engine. Now, our search engine is also going to incorporate results from other search engines, and that's going to be launching in 2015. But you know, early adopters. The way I see it is inside of our mastermind, we can teach you how to rank in our search engine really quickly, and the same principles apply to ranking in all the engines. But I'll release a corollary. I love mathematical corollaries. If you're unable to rank in the top 10 in our search engine, you're never going to rank in the top 10 in any of the other ones.
Mm-hmm.
Okay?
Mm-hmm.
So it's an easy way to start practicing and testing. And we also have tracking on how much traffic, how many clicks you have, and all that, and then we'll make that available. So it's going to be a lot more transparent than Google. We're putting an advisory board together of how we'd like it to play. It's a lot smarter. It's all based on natural language. It's all based on users. It's a really simple concept. The concept is, okay, if I have this press release, like Bob, if I have a press release and I want my press release to be found, and here's how I would like my search results to show up in the search engines, I think you, as the press release writer, should have the right to say that. Okay?
Of course.
And I think that, you know, you can very clearly see that, you know, if we go to here to like tickets at a discounts for under $50, okay, this is a press release. Going back to the press release. Motown the Musical formerly opened in New York City and quickly climbed to the top 10 shows of Financial Firebirds Ticket Broadway most popular Broadway shows list. Okay, so this is a fact. Okay. You notice how there's sales language up here. Motown Broadway tickets at discounts under $50 for some shows. Well, why are they doing that? Well, this right here is the release, which is fact, and this right here is marketing stuff. I think it still remains to be seen how effective marketing will continue to be. I think really the way to do this is that we, you know, Bob and I need to join forces on a couple of projects. So we have so you know, press releases also have a legal side to them. There are things you can say and there's things you can't say, and I think that that's also a critical component to this. You know, you have the marketers sit down and they spin this. Like you can see very clearly, you know, here's $48, okay? And then a marketer says, well, it's under $50, okay? This is what marketers say. This is what search engines like, okay? Search engines like factual data, interesting information, press releases, structured content, good stuff, okay? What I like about PR Web is it allows you to put both in one place. Okay? It puts this is what shows up in the search results, and this is when you click through, here's the release. And you can tweet this, you can, you know, send this out by email. So one of the services we've been thinking about doing here is Search Triggers in the masterminds. We're going to be actually helping our members to craft a press release, then we can blast the press release out through our own channels. The advantage of that is that, you know, it shows up like as a blog post, and I'm noticing, like, here's another press release that we released last week. This is the event we ran last week, and look, here is the press release, and there's a video right there, and this right here were all the keywords that we came up with that were all like Edith Piaf Singer, La Vie en Rose, Biography, Press Release, Beneath Paris Skies is the name of the production. Now, on our blog, we put our video, but once this structure is in place, you could just borrow what we do at Search Triggers and put that on your own blog and put your video right here. So I think that's what we're seeing as an emerging paradigm, is the press release and using YouTube, and all of these strategies is what we're going to be exploring inside the mastermind. So
when is the mastermind?
well, the mastermind is going to be toward the end of the month, and when people register for the mastermind, we will decide among the members what is the optimal time for them to participate, because we know it's holiday season. So what's going to happen is the masterminds will be more flexible this year. They're going to be more fixed in January.
So what do you charge for people to participate in the mastermind?
I'm glad you asked that question. I'm going to go ahead and put the link. There's a 32-minute video that introduces the mastermind payment. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to stop sharing the screen here for a moment, and I'm going to go reduce the price for the next 24 hours. Okay.
Didn't answer my question.
Yeah, what's the cost?
It's normally $1,000 for 4 sessions, but we're going to discount the price. There's also an installment plan, 3 payments of $397. However, we're going to discount the price for 24 hours.
$24.
What's that?
It sounds like you're going to discount it for $24.
No.
Yeah, I know, I'm joking.
No, it wouldn't be fair to the students that already paid for it.
Of course.
So, what we will do is we're going to increase the price as we start filling up. So let's talk about the itinerary for the mastermind. Okay. What we sort of are introducing here is this concept of writing press releases. Here was my thought. I'm going to bring in some experts in press releases. I'm going to bring in some experts in business planning. I'm going to bring in some experts in sort of the real world, non-marketing world, to go through a series of trainings where we're going to be exploring this concept together about this new world of marketing. Okay, how do we create a press release that has keywords? How do we take those keywords and still spin it into marketing copy? How do we do that and execute it for YouTube? How do we do that and execute that for Twitter? How do we do that and execute that for Facebook? How do we do that and execute it with Bing advertising? Those are the 4 primary modules that we're going to be covering. And then by the end of the mastermind, you're going to be an expert in how to take your core message, which I believe really, now after we've looked at it, is your press release. Your core message is your press release. Okay? It's phrased as a press release. It has factual information that's interesting and relevant to a news agency that you would want to have someone release. So that's what we're going to be covering in this mastermind. And how we release that is going to be through the traditional media. And what I'd like everyone to do is to start thinking about that between now and next Monday. Our next Monday is our next event. That's at noon Pacific time. And then we have the Search Triggers events Wednesday, 3 p.m. Pacific time, 6 p.m. Eastern time. Bob, any parting words with you regarding what do you think about this idea of? See, the thing is, we've had numerous conversations about some of the projects you brought to me, like roofing projects, and we've talked about some of the CRM software and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think that the idea of bringing a mastermind together is sort of like the right approach for us to figure this out once and for all? What actually works versus, see, there's a lot of stuff that people believe works, but it actually doesn't work. And these SEO firms are charging exorbitant fees to do stuff that simply doesn't actually produce the results. So I always approach these things from, well, let's try something out of the box based on what I see working somewhere else, and let's see if we can make that work for you. Now, if I see a marketer releasing Google Hangouts and he's only getting 100 views, well, and I see someone else releasing a press release with no marketing at all and they get 1 million views, which is a better marketer?
No,
You know what I mean?
It's all about what works right now, not what worked a month ago or 5 years ago.
So that's why I decided we're going to do these masterminds quarterly, and the goal of this it would be is for you to go ahead and interact with us and get to know us a little bit better. So I'm gonna there's a participant link if you want to jump in here and ask questions. I'm gonna just put my camera off while I go check to see the back office what's going on here. Bob, do you want to throw out any sound bites? You can tilt your camera down a little bit further.
Am I still doing that? I'm sorry.
Yeah. It's the new face of Where's Waldo. It's Bob Heyman in a Google Hangout.
Yeah. Okay.
That's
better.
Okay. I've been talking too much here. Let's hear from you for a few minutes. What's your takeaway from today? What did you learn? And now the view count just went up because we're sort of, someone just shared this.
I think that I didn't realize that you had incorporated PR Web in search triggers, and that as a tool for getting insight for how to make your press release rank better, and the fact that the press releases are once again a gold standard in terms of relevance and authenticity. That's the big takeaway for me. I didn't realize the tool did that, and I didn't realize there was a way to take advantage of the authority that's being given to press releases. I mean, I think I like press releases just because they work in their own terms, in the sense that they may get press and they may wind up with a story and all the usual reasons for doing it. But the twofer factor of getting good SEO rank and the fact that you can actually do a better job at that, that's powerful.
Absolutely. And so, do you have any tips for people in writing their press releases? I mean, I love the press release you wrote. I think that really is a core skill for our collaboration with digital engagement. Want to talk a little bit about digital engagement, what we're planning on doing?
Sure. Digital engagement is basically an agency practice that's trying to combine a few marketing disciplines that basically actually builds engagement for clients. Search and social and PR, I think, really are kind of the building blocks. And you have to remember that YouTube is a social media channel, but we're looking at Vic and I are trying to put together a series of practices that work for big and small clients, and take advantage of the things that work best now for Google, which is video, and for Bing, which is sort of meat and potatoes relevance. But that would work for everything from a local roofing company to a big knowledge, whatever you call Bill's company, that sort of competes with SAP or SAS.
Yeah, so what would be if someone's out there and they want to start writing a press release? Like, what's the first thing that what you do when you sit down to write a press release?
To think like a journalist. I mean, even though this has a search purpose, the major purpose is still to entice a journalist who comes across this to follow up and actually write a story. So you need something. You need to write think like a journalist and write something that they could literally turn into a story. So that you provide them their lead, you provide them their hook, and there's something in it that grabs attention. The you want to use. I mean, if you've got, I mean, basically a lot of these journalists filter for major companies who are in the stock market or major celebrity names. So if you've got an opportunity to include names that might be part of what they're filtering for, if you can use Amazon or Yahoo, or if you can use a celebrity, that helps cut through the clutter. But you want it to be as boiled down, and you want to give them some quotes. You probably want to have a quote or two in the press release that they can just lift. You want somebody to be able to just take that story and turn it into a news story without even necessarily having to get a hold of you. Vic?
I learned a lot from both of you guys.
Say again?
I learned a lot from both of you.
Well, we've been in this industry for a long time. I started SEO in 1997, Bob in 95. Back in that day, I was doing computer game strategy guides. That was my thing, and it was Command and Conquer and Red Alert. And we had the exclusive rights to the strategy guide for the biggest computer game of its time. And that attracted the attention of Tom Clancy's agency in New York. They gave me a call. And they said, do you know Tom Clancy? I said, of course I know Tom Clancy. He said, well, we don't like all these fan clubs. Whenever you search for him by name, you see all these black, blinking light fan clubs with all their garbage and their scamminess and spamminess. Can you get rid of that? And we said, yeah, let me call up a couple of my colleagues who publish a search engine newsletter, and we basically worked on it for 30 days, and we positioned him in all the top 10 spots of the search engines. And it was a major success, but it also caused an awareness that the search engine realized that they could be manipulated. And I think that's also what you found, Bob, was they realized, oh, they can be manipulated. And we're seeing the same thing with our search engine. I mean, we get mostly spam submissions. We get people selling. I mean, it's crazy when you have a forum out there and you put yourself out there and you look at what comes back. There's people who somehow hack the CAPTCHAs, and it's just crazy. But we've implemented a secure email response system. So when you fill this thing out and you can't get your email, if you don't have access to that email, and here's the thing we found about email. I'm not a big fan of these opt-in forums I see all over the place. In fact, there's now evidence that they don't work anymore. I'll tell you why they don't work anymore. Well, because if you opt in to one of these forums and you put in your Gmail address and you don't check your Gmail like instantly, that second, boom, then what happens is a confirmation letter goes out. And let's say you check that confirmation letter, it's going to be in your junk mail. and then that confirmation letter, you don't click the link inside the letter, and you don't respond to it immediately, then number one, you don't get the email, you don't get added to the list, and you're never seen from again. So I think what we're seeing now is more of a trend toward just being straight. Here it is. And I think that's the trend that we're going to see, and that's my prediction in 2015. Is we're going to see the demise of free email services. We're going to see the demise of opt-in. We're going to see the funnels are going to be going away. We're going to be returning to a simpler lifestyle with more text. I actually want to bring out a record, if I can. Bob, what do you think? I'm going to put the camera on you while I go get this record. Talk for a few minutes. I'll be right back.
Yeah, you're on the hot seat.
Me?
Yeah, you.
Good Lord, not me. I'm not sure what I should be on the hot seat for, but I think in terms of what he's talking about getting back to, for those who... Victor, what do you want me to opine about exactly?
All your favorite movies.
Well, I think what we're seeing is a return to what worked in the past. I mean, that's why I think people should hire us, to be honest, or join the mastermind if they don't have the budget to hire us, because realistically, what worked 15, 16, 17 years ago is what's going to start working again now. Okay, we're seeing this. It's like. Let me put the camera back on here. Look at this. Let's look at this model. Chrissy Hine. I saw Chrissy Hine she was of the Pretenders. She's now in her 60s. Okay? The call to action, okay? For $60, you get an autographed copy of a record. There's only 300 of them made. Take a look at this beautiful piece of work. Inside, it's white, and on the other side it's got art. It's perfectly art, and there's a little bit of ink left over from the signature. And take a look in here. You have artwork, you have a poster, and back here you have all the lyrics. And when you open the thing up, inside by the way, they give you a CD as well. And so for a $60 price point, you now have some value. Jimmy Page did the same thing with his remastered Led Zeppelin recordings. And those are, I think, $150 to $175. And I think that's really how musicians are now starting to make it back in there. Let's forget the download. Let's forget the digital distribution. Let's just go back to the basics. The same thing with SEO. Let's go back to a search engine that actually interprets things simply and effectively and gives it back to you without all this garbage. That's what we're going to be building with EarthGrid, and we're building an all-star list of advisors to help launch this engine. There's a lot of people that would like to see this happen, and we'll be the third kid on the block.
So that should be the slogan, search engines back to vinyl.
Listen, I have an interesting story to tell you guys. I did a concert at a music festival in Croc, Belgium, and when I was there, they had a separate room for all the participant musicians that were going to be on stage where they could sell their music to the customers who were at the conference.
Right.
And it was so embarrassing. I was so embarrassed. I was the only musician there in the entire room where they're selling their music. That was selling music CDs. Everybody was selling records, and many people were also selling cassettes. They looked at me like, ha, look at him. He's selling CDs. I was so embarrassed. They thought I was crazy because I was selling CDs. Everybody else is selling LPs or cassettes. So evidently that's a big thing in Europe now.
Yeah.
Everything old. That's a great theme for today. Everything old is new again.
Yeah, I sold a lot of my cassettes because nobody wanted them when CDs got popular. Now, if I still had them, I could sell some of those for $100 each.
Wow. And vinyl, I bet you could sell vinyl.
I have other people that are selling a new vinyl of my music now.
Right, there you go.
So I think it's time to go back to the record companies and actually start making records.
Well, the funny thing is, I can't stand the way my music sounds on LP, and I can't stand the way it sounds on cassettes, and I love the way it sounds on CDs.
Really? Do you like vinyl?
I can't stand it. I think it's horrible junk. If you knew the way audio works, you would think so too. It's just they've got rumble, they got bass rumble, they got snap, crackle, pop. They have to compromise the EQ in order to make it fit on the record. They say, well, yeah, but it's analog. It has that organic warmth. Well, that analog record comes from a digital master, so it's got the disadvantages of digital and the disadvantages of analog.
I've had so many people tell me how vinyl is warm and nothing else is warm. But
Yeah. Well, try a blindfold test and see what you get.
yeah, no, I believe it.
Yeah.
Well, it depends on the type of music. I think electronic music is better on CD, whereas acoustic music is better on vinyl. And I could, the thing I've noticed, like if I want to just get a like some of the old jazz vinyl records that I have, uh, they they're originally recorded on analog tape, and in fact, the best medium is analog tape. Uh, if you record on analog tape and then you master to a record without going through digital, that's the way to go for the optimal emotional quality. I can actually feel a difference. I almost feel like there's a relief in my brain because we're so bombarded with digital information. When you listen to vinyl that has the original master from tape, it sounds just emotionally, you can feel it. It's like, oh my God, I feel relief. You can put a CD on, it doesn't have that quality because it's all compressed. It's the compression that's the problem. However,
No, wait a minute.
if
You got
your
that
source is
backwards.
digital music,
Vinyl has much more compression than CDs.
well, CDs have a lot of compression.
They have no compression. It's vinyl that has compression. Vinyl has a much smaller dynamic range than CDs do. As a matter of fact, when my first record came out, one of my pieces had so much high-frequency energy in it that the needle kept popping out of its groove, so they needed to compress the high frequencies or lower the audio of the high frequencies in order for the needle to not pop out of its groove, but that changed the music.
Well, but you compose electronic music, which is from a synthesizer.
Which
So,
is from a synthesizer or my voice or a zither. I use everything, including acoustic, analog, and digital. I use it all. I use people singing. I use an actual violin. I use zither. I use a harp. I use all kinds of instruments that are acoustic plus acoustic electronic combination like a slide guitar. I use it all. Digital has a 16-bit dynamic range. LPs have a much smaller dynamic range, which is why when the really quiet parts in records get covered up by the snap, crackle, and pop.
so we're having a debate here: digital versus analog. I like analog better. Bob, do
Okay.
you have a record player?
I no longer have a record player. No.
Okay. Well, we just got a record player, and I got to tell you that I prefer listening to records over CDs any day, 7 days a week. But it's just maybe it's personal preference. But I'm saying purely from a marketing perspective, you get a lot of value as an artist by giving away something that you can hold.
Yeah, that's
Uh,
what they like about it. It's big. You can hold it, plus the artwork is larger.
yeah. And what I like is Revolution is they just toss the CD in the middle, and it's big and it's nice and it's autographed. So anyway, I think that return to vinyl. I don't know if that will work for search engines. Return to vinyl. Uh, wow, we just had someone drop in. I think we have some time zone issues here. We sent out all these emails and announcements for people to join us, and then they, 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 uh, they come in a little bit late. Okay, so let's see if we have any questions from the audience. I've been trying to get people to interact. You see, the thing is, I was very spoiled. Um, when I used to produce events at Microsoft, we would have 2,000 people show up live, 50,000 people over the replay in 24 hours a day. Now with the internet, we just get a handful of people, and we have to keep emailing, and texting them just to have them show up. So that was actually a question I had for Bob. What do you think is a way? What do you think is a way that we could, like, invent a system to help have people show up at these live events? Any live event, a live online event.
Besides repeatedly emailing them?
Yeah, because we had one of our people say, we get too many emails from you. We tried this. The most attendance we had was when we sent out, like, if we have an event on Wednesday, we'd send the first email on Sunday, another one on Monday, another one on Tuesday, another one on Wednesday morning, and then we did it 3 hours before the event, 1 hour before the event, and then, wow, we're live on the event. That's 7 emails just to get a single, we had the most attendance, but we also turned off a lot of our divers.
I would recommend doing it just 2 days in advance and leaving it at that.
Okay, so you say 2 days in advance. At what
Only
time?
just
Morning,
once.
afternoon,
Don't
or
bug it.
evening? When would you want to hear about it?
In the afternoon. In the afternoon, I send them one just 2 days before the event. Don't keep bugging them. That irritates a lot of people. By the way, I just sent you a link for a world clock, and when I tell people that it's 12 noon California, in case they're in other parts of the planet, they can go to the global clock and see what time it's going to be in their area when it's 12 o'clock here.
Okay.
Do you see the link I just set? www.timeandday.com.worldclock.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's a useful thing to send when you send out your emails for your things, so they know what time it's going to be in their area when it's noon in California.
Yeah, Yasses, if you could also tip your camera down a little bit. There you go. Okay, so Bob, what do you think? What do you think? We heard 2 days.
I think 2 days is good. I mean, I don't know if there's an answer to how you get people. People are bombarded with so much. I don't know what you do. Send them a vinyl record in the mail. I'm not sure.
Well, see, my strategy was I want to minimally hassle them by bombarding them with a lot of emails. So I want to send them just one email. But when should I do it? I figured if I do 2 days in advance, that's enough advance warning so they can make the time, but close enough so they'll remember.
I would
Okay,
do
so
maybe
do you also send them a reminder? Like we sent one today. We tried it. We sent it out in the morning, and we sent it out 15 minutes before we said we're live, because we actually were live 15 minutes before this event. Okay. So Bob, it's sort of the balance between hassling people, like we were texting people, and we had a lot of people show up actually on text, a lot more than email, and they can watch this Hangout right on their mobile phone.
I really don't know what works. When I was practicing law, I used to realize that you could define that doctors basically save people's lives for money. Lawyers annoyed people for money. Hire a lawyer to get people to show up.
That's actually a good statement. So Bob.
On your subject of the email, say you are indicted to show up in court.
Send him a subpoena.
No, well, yeah, that's a good one. Shoot. Well, let me go back to this window and see if we have any questions from the audience again. It's so funny. Just when I'm just about to adjourn the Hangout, more people show up.
Always
And
the way.
it's this funny thing with. Oh, by the way, the discount link is up, and the installment plan is majorly discounted. So go ahead and click that link below or to the right of the video. Actually, it's this direction. You'll see Albert Einstein. He says, "I use and recommend mastermind groups." Here, let me talk a little bit about why we're doing this. There's three things that really matter in SEO today, and it's actually not so much anymore as it
Hey,
used
Victor,
to,
Victor,
but it still is relevant. It's
Victor,
called domain authority.
Victor,
Domain
tell people
authority
what
is very,
SEO
very
means.
important. Hello?
Yeah, tell people what SEO means for those that don't know.
Bob, I'll have you do that since you coined the term.
Search engine optimization.
Good.
And what is search engine optimization?
The art and science of trying to appear at the top of search engines.
Scott, man, you're here.
Yeah, what's up, guys? I've been listening to you. I was eating early dinner, and I was like, man, I couldn't agree with any more with what you guys were saying. And then you guys got on the tangent about vinyl versus CD, and one's compressed, one isn't. I was just laughing in my car, running to come home to talk to you all. But yeah, I got some really good inside information when it comes to what the largest advertising networks are going to be looking for right now in 2015 and on, to make it a really a good quality end user experience for someone that's actually getting marketed to. And so you were talking about press release, so I got some really good information on that, but I don't want to mess up the tempo here, so I just wanted to
No, no,
let
no.
you
Our view
know.
count just went
I
up.
was
Please share it. Share your insights.
Yeah, definitely. So most of these large networks, many people think that they frown upon affiliate marketing. Oh, they don't want you selling this weight loss product, or they don't want you offering insurance, selling insurance, or just being an affiliate. Many people think that Facebook doesn't like that, and that's actually not true. What Facebook's likes is they want to see content, like you were saying, Vic, something that's actually written out where they can actually read, and it's actually something where that looks legit. You know what I mean? It's not just a capture page that's real intrusive. Here, let me get your email so I can spam you. You know what I mean? People, they want content, and they need to make it a really great user experience for their network. Okay, and you could be selling anything, and so it's really what you want to do is you want to put together a website that looks like a blog post, like a press release. Am I right, Vic?
Yeah, yeah. What I was thinking is that our blogs have to be more like press releases. I tested a colloquial blog versus a press release blog, and the press release blog ranks higher than the colloquial blog. So now
Uh-huh.
we're about to start blogging, and a lot of people say, "Oh, just write your blog post in, colloquial language." Actually, no. You want to write your blog post in press release language.
Right, exactly.
And that's actually it's actually called a Bayesian filter. And
Uh-huh.
I was in an event last night, and one of the top, you've heard of O'Reilly? They coined the term Web 2.0.
Oh, sure.
He's like the network admin for O'Reilly, and we were having a conversation talking about why is all of my email ending up in spam. He said it actually isn't. What happening is he checked out all of our search triggers mail. He says what happens is when you write your email with a marketing language, or you use you're using a colloquial phrasing, the Bayesian filters inside of the Google email client interpret that with like a certain mindset, and then that mindset triggers it to show up in the promotions or the updates tab. But if you write it as a press release, and you write it as the same type of language that you have as a press release, then it shows up in the inbox. So longer letters, less "Hey, how you doing?" Uh, click this link below and make lots of money kind of stuff. That's really what they're looking for, and they've built these algorithms now that scan everything. It's not just see, that's the thing. That's what's different about the EarthGrid search versus all the other search engines. Their whole focus is to keep people out, keep business owners out, keep spammers out, and keep people out. You know, it's the keep out strategy versus our vision is to include people by distinguishing them. Distinctions. Keyword is distinctions. Here's the thing. If I'm a marketer and I want my stuff to be found, okay, I don't really I want people to buy my stuff. The text of my website, okay, should not impact the listing in my search engine. But for the last 18 years, search engines have been spidering. They've been looking at your page, and it's like we have clients like you, Bob. You can relate to this. They're petrified of changing the text on their homepage because they're afraid they're going to lose ranking in the search engines. That's
Right.
ludicrous. Why
Well, they're
should the
afraid
content
they're
of your
afraid of
website have
changing
any bearing or factor on whether you're found in a search engine? Now, that's because the search engines are driven by greed and selling advertising at big per click costs, so that if you're selling something, you have to advertise with them because you can't rank naturally unless you're like providing free information that's of benefit to community. That's this remnant idea of all those people in Michigan who invented the W3C, who came up with all this World Wide Web, lingo, the HTTPs and all this stuff that we're kind of having to interpret, XML and standards organizations and all that kind of stuff. So sort of, guys, if you're writing boring content that a standards organization would have, then you're going to show up high in search engines. Versus if you write creatively interesting, artistic content, you're not going to end up anywhere. And I'm just going to rant for a minute because that's just the way it is. We at EarthGrid decided, you know what? Make your listing, and make your content, your content. We're going to do a tertiary look at whether your content on your website matches your listing, but we're going to give more relevance to your listing than to changing your content. So if you rank in our search engine, you're going to continue to rank, and you can change your content as often as you want on your website because it has no bearing whatsoever on how you rank in our search engine. And see, that's our message at EarthGrid Search. Bob, back to you. Would that be cool if we could pull that off?
If you can make a better, I would love to see search triggers catch on as a better search engine.
Well, we've already written it for a client. We did a custom build for a client that had a data set of about 30 or 40,000 records.
Right.
And it interprets what you mean, and as you type in what you mean, it distinguishes geography. So if you type in the word Thailand, it knows that you're thinking about Thailand, and it knows that it's in Southeast Asia. It knows it's under a subcategory, so it automatically starts inferring things based on the keyword string. And it's really, really, really exciting to see that happen. Now, the only challenge we're having is it only works for small data sets, like under 1 million records. But you know what? If we have 1 million records in our search, and our search is much more business-oriented, we still have to come up with a model. That's what I want to talk to you and Bill about, because I think that's really, we're still going to have all the web pages because we have we have access to a couple of other major search engines that do all the spidering for us. But for all the opt-ins, we're going to have the best results. I know it. We've already seen that happening. Because we're not spidering, we're actually asking people, hey, how do you want to be found? Hey, what are your keywords? What's shocking to me is that major firms these days are completely omitting the keywords tag altogether because of the spiders don't use them anymore.
Right.
Anyway,
Really?
yeah.
Yeah, no, that's true.
They don't use
Scott,
keywords
you were saying
anymore?
what works. What do you find is working these days, bro?
Just being upfront with whatever network you're using to advertise on. It's actually really important to go through their terms of service, and read what they're looking for because they want to help you make money. And they're going to write their terms of service in a way where they're going to probably take what their top advertisers are spending on their network and share with you what's working for them. You know what I mean? Like some of the top advertisers are like lynda.com, right? They use Bing like crazy. Actually, lynda.com came out with their own course on how to use Bing ads, and I actually was watching that the other day. I actually got access to that. And so that's just what I'm seeing is it's not trying to pull the wool over Facebook's face and try to pretend like they don't know what you're doing. You got to just say, hey, look, it might take a little bit more time to set up my page, right? To set up your press release. You might even want to put your press release behind your capture page. You might want to say, free press release, my top 7 ways of getting more exposure. Boom, and then have that be a PDF. PDFs are awesome because they can download that to their phone. A lot of times PDFs, they could be viewed later when they're not even on the computer or even online. If they download it, it's right there. They don't even need to be online. So, and it's an incentive to give your email. Now that's one way. Another way is a blog article, a press release, and you have to put a privacy policy down below at the bottom of your page. That's really important, guys, that we don't miss that because they'll actually edit they'll go and look at your campaigns and they'll make sure that you have a privacy policy at the bottom of your page. You can actually get one made up for free. You can just type in free privacy policy and they'll help you make one real quick. And press release style. And I think probably the biggest hurdle when you're doing this is finding good content. Content that you can kind of put in your own words, but you don't have to create everything. You know what I mean? And I think that that's a webinar in itself because I have little certain methods where I find some of the top ranking sites, right? And then I'll go kind of take relevant content and I'll kind of spin it in my own way. And that's what you need. You need to be able to put some content together. I think that that's a barrier for a lot of people is they just don't want to put in the time. Well, let me ask you this. If you had a funnel that was producing $10,000 a day, right, and you were spending, just $5,000 to $4,000 a day in advertising, that funnel is working because you put in the time to make something that was a good, valuable content for the end user. Right, where they didn't feel like they were being sold, they felt like they were being educated and sold at the same time. And so that's just what I have right now. I don't want to go into details because I know it's not why we're here at the moment. That's for a later mastermind. But I definitely have a lot of really cool stuff to show you guys. But I was just on a Google Hangout last night with a 7-figure earner who does $100,000 a day in ad spend. I mean, unbelievable amounts of numbers. And he was just saying, look, this is what I do. And I was like, whoa, he uses a blog style press release. And yeah, it takes work to put that together, but you can probably hire someone on Odesk, get the framework together. That's kind of what I've been noticing, guys, is I like to go in there and put my finishing touches, but it's nice to have someone that you can go to go kind of put the framework together. You know what I mean? Install the WordPress. Put some content on there, make it look legit, and then you go in there and kind of doctor it up, right? So you're not spending all your time doing everything yourself. So that's just my little tip for you guys for right now. So if you have any questions, definitely ask.
Good tip. So I think that is the key is to have a team really to work on your business with you with different skill sets, different mindsets, different strategies.
And they want to work
really,
with someone
we were
that's
talking
good
about
that knows
these.
what they're doing.
What's that? Yeah.
They want to work with someone. Like I've had people come to me and say, Scott, don't pay me yet. I want to work with you. Like let me prove to you that I am worthy to even work with you. And I'm like, no, let me pay you real quick. And they're like, no, I want, you know what I mean? So my best advice is I pop on a Google Hangout, I shoot a quick video, 2 to 4 minutes, and I'm really nice. I share who I am, what I'm looking for, and that's what I send out to people that I'm looking to hire, whether that's on Fiverr or that's on Odesk, my two favorite places to find people. And I'm only looking for one person to reach back out and say, oh my God, I just saw your video and I would love to work with you. You know, you'll know the difference between people that will love to work with you rather than like, okay, well, I charge $150 and here's my bid, let me know. You know what I mean? You don't want that guy because that guy doesn't see your vision. He doesn't see what you're doing. And so that's kind of my little secret, you know. I find some of the best on these sites that I'm always connected with these people, like on Skype, Facebook. You know, you become friends outside of these networks, and they love to work with you.
Cool, cool, cool. Okay, so we were just talking about celebrity hangouts. I want to just share with you a tip that I learned last week, which is really kind of cool, just since you're still here watching. I share this with Bob as well. It's celebrities, the whole celebrity industry, they plan things way, way in advance. The more the celebrity, the more in advance you need to plan. And they're booked up like way, way, way in advance. Someone shared with me in a hangout, it was actually last Friday, that she booked a celebrity interview 3 months in advance, and you can actually do so inside of Hangouts. You could put the event like 3 months in the future. A little countdown timer will start showing in there, and you can create a blog post about it, put press releases behind it, and then build a lot of momentum behind that so that a lot of people show up. And then what you also do is you have that celebrity put their, it's your hangout, right? But they will put that embedded YouTube video on their blog and their website, and they'll promote it. And so if you put it like 90 days out, it's totally a radical idea. You now have enough time for the celebrity to put a lot of momentum behind that hangout. So I think that's really the categories that I was just going to leave you guys with. Is if you're thinking of doing hangouts, for one, come to our mastermind and learn how to do all this stuff that we're doing here behind the scenes. We're going to show you all the tools that we use. And we're not going to be using Google Hangouts to do the mastermind. The mastermind is going to be in Adobe Connect Pro, so that we can do screen share, we can do remote control, and we can have multiple cameras on at the same time. It's a really great technology. It's more like a classroom feel, and the classroom with all the links and all the resources. And one of the things we want to do is we want to link each other's websites together. We want to track each other's progress together. That's why I think it's a mastermind environment's going to be the best one to distinguish and figure this stuff out. But the takeaway that I had from this was we're going to be planning an event middle of January, as soon as I get a confirmation from my celebrity guest. And then we're going to be doing some of these things, maybe even in March. We already have a, Bob, I scheduled something with you in March. So we're starting to plan these hangouts further in the future in 2015, almost like movie releases. You know, it's like movie releases, they have like a 9-month window. Television releases 6-month window. Hangout releases 3-month window. Well, what you want to do to build momentum for that, you want to have weekly hangouts yourself. What that does is it also makes you feel more comfortable on camera, makes you feel like you can be more engaging with people. You start building a tribe around you. We have the same people showing up every single week to our Search Triggers Hangouts because they know that every single week at the same time we have the same hangout every single week, every single week, every single week, every single week, and we have been doing this every single week this entire year. So it's that consistency that builds the tribe. It builds the momentum. And you have to find it at a time that other people are not having other hangouts. Like I'm on a Hangout on Tuesdays at 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern. Another one on Thursdays. There's an event that I go to on Mondays. There's another event I go to on Tuesdays at 3. And then I have another event Fridays at noon. And so the amount of Hangouts that I do is huge. And I think as you start getting into this, you're gonna find that as well. But I think the key here with celebrity hangouts is you want to plan them far in the future. You want to build up to them, and you always want to be promoting that event in the future. So March 4th is going to be our big celebrity hangout. This is going to be celebrities in the industry. These are going to be in the industry. Which industry? Bob, how would you describe the industry that Decision is part of?
Business intelligence, BI.
Okay, business intelligence industry. So we're going to be talking about business intelligence, March 4th, 2015. You know, big names will be there, okay, and you will want to be there. And I want to make sure that Bob, tip your camera down again. Okay. Camera's on you again, Bob. And I know I've been rambling a lot. I tend to ramble too much.
You ramble just right.
You ramble well, but
Ramble on! Yeah, but that's a Zeppelin song. Actually, I want to go put my Ramble On record on right now, analog.
Yeah, dude, I like that.
No, you know, one of the things I'm a big AC/DC fan, and I know Peter's watching us tonight. You know, he's actually watching dinner, and a bunch of people got our text, and you know, he invented this great technology. He Skyped me back. He said, "Hey Vic, I just got your text." And I was like, "Yes." Well, he invented this technology and allowed us to do a broadcast text. He's from Australia, and he said, "Well, AC/DC is the best band in the world." They just launched a new album, which I've been listening to a lot lately, and you know, it's the opposite of meditative music. It balances itself out. So I like meditation music and AC/DC balance.
You know, musical tastes boils down to emotional preferences. Your emotional preferences determine what music you like, and art appreciation, whether it's visual art or music or architecture, also boils down to consciousness matching. If the consciousness of the creator of the art is similar to the consciousness of the perceiver, then they love it. If it's different, they don't like it.
Wow, that's an interesting insight. Could you wait? So,
no, I bet that's true.
I'll get, you know, let me give an example. If someone's consciousness is similar to Constance Demby, then when they hear her music, she's going to think this is the highest music on the planet. If someone's consciousness is really similar to Michael Jackson and they hear his music, they're going to think this is the highest music on the planet. So your favorite boils down to how similar is your consciousness to the consciousness of the person that created it. If you're more refined or less refined or in a totally different space than that person, you're not going to get it at all. Musicians are merchants selling emotions served on a platter of sound. What they're really selling is not music, but emotions. And you like music according to your own personal emotional preferences. And for every emotion you could possibly imagine, there are musicians that exactly specialize in exactly that emotion.
interesting. And so the emotional component, I think, applies to all kinds of things now that we think about it.
Pretty much everything.
Everything, man. Yeah, that's why different personalities attract to one another, you know. Me and you got a lot in similarities, Vic, you know.
Yep. Someone asked Bashar, why is it that birds of a feather flock together but opposites attract? And he gave a very scientific answer. He said, vibrationally, similar vibrations attract, but magnetically, opposites attract.
Interesting.
So For humans, how do the opposite attract for humans? Just
Well, the male and the female are attracted because they're magnetically opposite.
right. True.
Okay, so does anyone have any questions? The group that's watching right now is watching passively. So we're not getting any questions. I used to, some funny thing is when I used to do events in MSN, I always talk about this. We would have, you had to chat because that was the only way you would interact. This was dial-up. There was no video. There was no even audio. You had to make a decision whether you wanted to put a line of text or have people wait 5 minutes for a JPEG to come across, because JPEGs would take 5 minutes to download. So
That's
you
problem.
so you had to, there was a trade-off whether you wanted to have people take a 5-minute pause to download something, or whether you wanted to you just imagine here's what the picture would look like. And the funny thing was it was far more interactive with text than it is today. Back to that metaphor, we've gone backwards, my friends, with Google Hangouts in terms of interactivity. We're actually less interactive than we were 20 years ago. We had 2,000 people show up, 50,000 people paid to watch the replay, or access to, actually they came to hear about what they missed. And then fractions of them would buy a transcript that, what we do now is we make videos and then we outsource those to someone in some foreign country to create a transcript, and then we try to give that transcript away for free in order to build engagement. It's the exact opposite of what worked. What if we went back to the way things were?
I think it's like this because of information overflow. Everybody's getting way too much data, so they don't have time to interact.
I love just hanging out with you guys. It's just a lot of fun to hang out. I wish that everyone who was watching would click that link and just come in and say, hey, yeah, I like what you say. No, I disagree with it. Yeah, I hate CDs. No, I like vinyl. Oh, I'm a big Google fan. No, I prefer Bing. It's like the debate is really what makes these things interesting.
Typing is much more work than just speaking.
Absolutely. Well, I mean, the thing is that they could always write a question. So, Bob, how do we get people to engage? I shared that PowerPoint that we have these 3 types of personalities, and unfortunately, we're all kind of divers. In the technology that we're in, we're diving in, and we're diving into SEO, we're diving into marketing, we're diving into strategy, we're diving into masterminds, we're diving into engagement. You've got to realize that most of the people out there, they're sort of sitting there passively. This laptop where we're talking on might be in the room and they're cooking dinner. They could have it on their phone and they're watching it, while they're driving down the car, and it drops off every few hours or minutes or days, and then they think that the replay is going to come back, and then I always turn these videos private so they can't watch the replay.
Victor, it really boils down to how relevant is it to what they want to do in their life. The more relevant it is, the more involved they're going to be, the more they're going to want to watch and participate. The less relevant, the more they'll just have it on in the background.
Well, how do you just explain relevance? See, what people think is relevant is actually irrelevant, and what we're talking about here is probably the most relevant topic, I think, on the planet.
No. What's relevant according to them, not what's relevant for them according by you. They'll watch according to what they believe is most relevant.
Yes, I know that, and Scott is a master of doing that. Bob, what do you think of that? About that?
Oh, I agree that it's what's relevant to them. I was thinking about your greater question of how you increase engagement, and I have an all-purpose answer, which is
Tilt down a little bit.
Incent people to engage or to do anything by having a contest, and they only qualify to win if they post or chat or tune in or do something you want. It doesn't take a big prize or much of a chance of winning to get people engaged that way.
Okay. Any other ideas?
No, just that I would put that under bribery.
That's good. Hey, Vic, I need to sign off. It's 5 o'clock. I need to take care of other commitments. I've
Okay.
enjoyed talking to you guys.
Hey, I love listening to you, buddy.
Yeah, nice getting to know you.
Yeah.
Okay,
I'll
see
see
you
you
later.
next week, Yasos.
Okay.
Good talking to you guys.
Bob, you still with us?
Yep.
Okay. Tilt your camera down and let's
But,
just
but
wrap this up with I
but
think
I gotta go, Vic.
yeah, let's wrap it up. I got to go too.
Okay.
Well, actually, I'm going to stay on with Scott for a little bit because we're going to talk a little shop here.
Yeah, we're gonna talk shop.
Talk shop. Okay. Okay. So engagement. You're the digital engagement group, digital engagement expert. Um, I'm the digital engagement analyst, and so when I look at the numbers, I look at numbers and I interpret them. Here's what we find. In a 2-hour hangout, we find that the same person comes back 6 times. They stay for at most 10 minutes. So
Really?
what happens is we have a lot more people coming back. They come in, they say, "Oh my God, they're still talking. Oh my God, they're still talking. Oh my God, they're still talking." So you could say, well, okay, if we do a pitch every 10 minutes, then we have a probability that they will actually buy our product. But I'm not really here to sell a product. I'm here to cause a transformation in the paradigm of search. Like my friend mentor Vic, he wanted to create a paradigm shift in the world of online marketing. I want to create a paradigm shift in search because I think it's ludicrous that the search engines base search on content. It's because the point is your list. It's sort of like this. If I want a classified ad in the San Francisco Chronicle, I mean, and I run a classified ad or the New York Times, and all of a sudden, New York Times editor decides, well, I think I'm going to rewrite your ad. I think I'm going to change exactly what you say, and I'm going to change exactly who you say you are. That's kind of like what the search engines are doing. They're sort of basing their index on the content of your website. And now the big what if is, what if the content of your website wasn't the factor? What if the aggregate of content of your domain was the factor? Okay, aha. That's what we look for, at least in our search engine. We're looking for what is the aggregate of the content of your domain, what is it that you say about yourself, and how closely does it match to what who you really are.
Mm-hmm.
That's just the idea. So if that were possible, Bob, what do you think would be the next step for us to roll that out next year? Because it solves a lot of problems, because I think that's the problem that everyone's having.
We need to basically get a client and get a case study.
Okay, let's get a couple clients, get a couple case studies, and then we'll put it to the mastermind.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I got to bail, Vic. I'll give you a call tomorrow.
Okay. Good
Bye.
seeing you, Bob.
Bye.
Bye. Scott, okay. What do you
Yeah.
think?
Yeah, he was right. Get some case studies and work together to show people what they can have.
So what are some of the things you got coming up, time-wise? You've got, I know you're doing the Bing training coming up,
Yeah.
and
I'm gonna be having a webinar next week on Tuesday, and I'm gonna pitch people. I'm gonna have a webinar and teach people about Bing. Okay, Tuesday, and I think 6 o'clock or 5 o'clock our time, maybe 5 o'clock our time. Yeah.
yeah, you know that the big globe, well, There's that big event happening every Tuesday at 6.
Right. Mm-hmm.
So what some people have been doing is they've been doing them at 5. Like iPass had theirs last night at 5 o'clock. So I've been positioning mine earlier in the day. But whatever time you have it, I'm going to show up. I'd like to show up. Just let me know.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's see. So okay, so we're going to wrap up the event here. If you guys would like to participate in the mastermind, just write yes in the chat below or comments below, and we'll contact you and find a way to make it possible for you to be there. You know, if money is a problem, we can work out an installment plan. There's all kinds of things we can do here. I really feel that that if you start using these tools, you will see more success in your business. It's a mindset shift from what a lot of other people are saying out there that isn't working. Okay, a lot of the stuff that if they're doing if only 2% of the people are succeeding with and they're presenting a model that only 2% can do, that model probably isn't the right model for you. So watch what people's results actually are. One of our colleagues was here. I was showing him one of the videos I did. I had like 50,000 views on my video with one video, and someone else had like 3, 4, 5,000 views on 3 or 4 videos. Well, what would you rather have? 50,000 views on one video or 3 or 4 views that you put a lot of effort into with 1,000 views each? I think that the answer is pretty clear. So you want to listen to the experts that are actually producing the results. And the thing is, we've bombed sometimes too. You have to be willing to take risks and try things that are out of the box that you don't even think will work. And you'll be surprised that when they do, what we're going to be teaching is how do you measure your results? How do you track your results in such a way that you're able to interpret those results in the most effective way possible? Scott, what do you think about that? Isn't that really the key? Like, you've learned so much just from tracking your results. It's like, and then now you're teaching what you've learned.
Mm-hmm.
I'm excited to learn about Bing from you, because it's like, how long ago did gosh, it was about probably a year ago I showed you Bing a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah, I've always known about it. I've always placed ads with it, but I've never actually mastered it. And the main reason why is because I've never actually taken advantage of their call center, and I highly recommend everybody does that. They got an incredible call center that you can call in and talk to their Bing support, and I've been on the phone with some of those guys for hours just talking shop with them, and it's awesome. It's fun, because they work there. They're not afraid to tell you, some of the secrets, and most of them all have their own business outside of working there, so they know about how to really crank out some awesome results with that stuff. So you're gonna just your mind is me blown right now. Listen to this, bro. When it comes to getting lots and lots of traffic on Bing, okay, I was duplicating my campaigns. And I didn't realize this, but when you duplicate your campaigns, you're actually bidding against yourself. Because if, let's say, one campaign, same ads, same keywords, you're bidding at 95 cents, 60 cents, whatever. Well, you have a duplicate campaign, and you're bidding against yourself. The way that you do it is you don't duplicate your campaign, you duplicate your ad groups inside that one campaign, and you won't be competing against yourself that way. So you have your one main umbrella, just like with Facebook, you have your campaign, your ad sets, and your ads. And with Facebook, when you have a campaign, let's say your objective is website conversions, all right? You wouldn't create an ad set with website conversions and then an ad set with website traffic, which is clicks. No, not conversion, just clicks. You just want clicks to your website. You would have a separate objective for that actual campaign, right? One campaign, what's your objective? You're starting a campaign. What's your objective? Okay, I want conversions. That's what the campaign's all about. You don't create ad sets with website traffic and all that stuff. So that's another. It's just the same go. So it's kind of the same principle for every ad network, right? Another thing is that when you're adding multiple countries, okay, in one campaign, you don't do that. If you're going to do a campaign, you have it for one specific country or whatever state or city, whatever. You know, you can go real low into that, but you don't have Canada and United Kingdom in the same campaign. So that's another thing. But mostly you're duplicating your ad groups, and your ad groups are for what type of match type you're looking for. So if one of your ad groups is just for broad keywords, and then you duplicate the other group for like phrase keywords or exact keywords. So you, yeah, that's kind of how you do it.
And so, do you have any tips on how to increase the traffic or the how many times they show your ads? Because that's the thing that I found that was the biggest challenge was you have, you know, you put in all these keywords, you put in a lot of ads, and they don't show them
You don't
as
actually
much.
put in a lot of keywords. That's not advised. You want to you don't want to put in a lot of keywords. So you only need like 20 to 25 keywords.
Okay. And do you use long tail keywords or use broad
No.
keywords?
No, you want keywords that are getting at least 10,000 or more impressions. You want the big boys.
Okay.
You don't want a bunch of small little guys. You want the big boys.
Okay. And so one of the strategies that we've been testing is what about sending your traffic to your blog?
Mm-hmm.
Because then what happens is you have those long tail keywords on your blog, and then what happens is the traffic is coming in to your blog, and if you run analytics in Google, Google sees, oh, there's traffic showing up at this blog, it must be good. So it gives it a little bit of more of a boost. So that way you only need to spend a finite amount of money on your ad spend in order to sustain the traffic, and you'll eventually start ranking organically. So that's the strategy that I've been finding works the best, is putting a little bit of money into paid media to drive traffic to your blog once it's SEO optimized. So that's our tip. Thank you for coming and joining us tonight. We look forward to seeing you in the next Mastermind Hangout. We're going to be doing a Hangout on Monday at noon, and again next week, Wednesday, 3 p.m. Pacific. What was your takeaway, Scott, from this? You learn a lot?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay.
Definitely, yeah. I just appreciate that you guys are on track. You guys are on the right track. So.
Well, we're working with some real big challenges with clients. See, the thing is that a lot of the people that we work with, they have these rock star SEO guys that come
Rock
in
star.
there.
That's
Yeah,
funny.
they call themselves rock star SEOs. They come in there and they charge the client a whole bunch of money, and then they do all this stuff, and then what ends up happening is they get less traffic and less business. And then the downside to that is they've already spent their money, and now they don't have and then they say, oh, we're stuck now. We need help. And so that's kind of like when Bob and I come in there, we fix things. We
Yeah. Yeah.
and
Yeah.
so what we've been looking at is, can we make a tool that helps people avert those challenges before they happen? And that's where search triggers comes in. Because if you put all your momentum behind promoting a keyword that no one is looking for, why bother doing it? By the same token, if you're competing with too many people, you're never going to rank naturally, so you shouldn't use SEO for that. You should use PPC. So it's understanding the distinction between pay per click, and as you confirm, like right now, is you want to pick really, really high traffic, competitive keywords to run your campaigns on in pay media. That's great. You shouldn't be running those same keywords with SEO.
No.
Sense? But people do this all the time. What they do is the stupid stuff. They run the keywords on their blog that they should be running in paid media, and they don't run the keywords in their blog that they should be running in their blog. And that's where search triggers helps you distinguish. So on that note, I'll see you guys at the next event. Take care and check your phone. I'm going to put this number on here. If you want to get on our VIP list, here's the number. Let me take this off here. Text VIP to 650-294-8031. We'll get you on the VIP list, and I'll show you exactly what the text message. I'm actually on my own VIP list. You can see here's the texts that come through. We keep them very short. Let me see if I can. There we go. See that, Scott?
Yeah.
It's a little blurry. Anyway, they're very short messages, and you can stop anytime you want to. And you can just tap on the link right there. And when I open the link, it opens up in the browser, and you can see us right on your phone. Okay, I'll see you guys next week. Take care, and aloha.